between January and the middle of March, this 100-man company, like in Vietnam, like in Iraq rather, lost about 20 or 25% of their troops, some killed, mostly injured, to random fire, snipers, bombs, you know, like not IED, but other bombs just went off. Everybody would walk in terror of their private parts because the bombs were little booby trap bombs on the walkways. And they lost that many people, and they were increasingly angry, increasingly frustrated. They never saw the enemy. There was no enemy. And one night they're told, March 15th, in 1968, they're told, tomorrow you're going to meet, we've got great intelligence, you're going to meet the 48th North Vietnamese regular army. They're going to be in this village on an operation. We're going to go take them on. So the kids did what they did in that army, is they toked it up at night, and the senior enlisted men, the senior sergeants and the officers drank it up. But by God, at 3:30 they got up and they got on a chopper to kill and be killed. You got to give them their due. They went to do it. They got on a chopper, they went to kill and be killed. They went into the village, ready to fight and kill. And instead of the enemy, they found 554, 56, I don't remember the number, isn't that close? Old men, women, and children making the morning tea, or boiling the water for the morning pho with the soup. And for reasons that aren't clear, I hope it's not because that's just the way the war was, I'm not sure, I'm never quite sure about it. They put him round him up over the next couple hours into 3 big ditches and began to execute him. Clip after clip shooting. What I'm telling you is empirical. It's been court-martials, army reports. I mean, I reported it in real time, more or less. But there was nothing I'm telling you that wasn't verified and categorically. At even one point, they stopped and had lunch by the ditch. They put him in 3 ditches and they shot and shot and shot. And one of those who did a lot of the shooting was a farm kid, 17, named Paul Meadlow, from a small town in southern Indiana near the Wabash River, a place called New Goshen. He was one of those who shot. And I get this tip and I chase the story down and I write a bunch of stories and I spend the next year seeing everybody. I wrote 2 books about it, one about the event and one about the cover-up, because everybody in the military knew everything. And not that, you know, cover-ups, sometimes people care about them, sometimes they don't. And I saw, of the 75 or 74 kids who did the shooting, I saw more than 60, maybe 62. And I wasn't sensitive enough at the time, but one of the distinctions that later occurred to me is the main shooting, guys putting M1, they had an M1, a semi-automatic rifle, very good. Well, I used it in the Army. It's a good, you just keep the trigger going, you don't have to keep on pulling it, you can hold it down. It's not a machine gun, but it can fire round after round. The clips are about 20 large caliber bullets, do a lot of damage. And it was the white guys who did most of the shooting. Among the 20 or 25 Hispanics and black soldiers, I'd say more than half of them, and again, I wasn't calibrating it, they shot, but they shot high. They were afraid not to shoot. They didn't want Whitey to see them not shooting, because that would be bad for them physically. They knew there would be payback for that. Could get a bullet in their back, because everybody was in on it. But they shot high, it just wasn't their war, you know. Whitey wants to go do this, go ahead, do it. And the infamous Lieutenant Calley, William Calley, became the platoon leader who was infamous in the stories. But there were 5 or 6 platoon leaders telling their boys to shoot, then officers seeing what's going on. And at one point when the shooting was over, a little boy, a mother somehow, had tucked a child under her stomach in such a way that the bullets didn't get the boy. And the boy began to pick his way up, crawl his way up, screaming louder and louder as he got to the top, full of other people's blood. Unhurt. When he got to the top, he began to run across a paddy field, rice field, whatever the cliche is, a field. And Lieutenant Calley turned to Paul Meadlow, this farm boy who'd been one of those, like an automatic, clip after clip, shooting and shooting. Some of the other guys dropped off after a little while. I mean, it was a little much, turkey shoot, but he kept on doing it. And Calley said to Meadlow, plug him. And that's literally the word. And Meadlow couldn't do it. And Calley, with this great show of bravado, officers have a smaller rifle called a carbine then, I don't know what they have now. He ran behind the kid in front of everybody, shot him in the back of the head. Big man on campus. The next day, Paul Meadlow stepped on a landmine and blew off his right leg to the knee. And they were bringing in a chopper, medevac, as I said earlier, medical evacuation chopper to get him out. And while he was lying there, with a tourniquet on, he began to start uttering an oath. God has punished me, Lieutenant Calley, and God will punish you. God has punished me, Lieutenant Calley, for what I did, and God will punish you. And the kids, once they remembered it, they all said the same thing, the young men who were there. Get him out of here. Get him out of it. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear it. They got him out. When I did, as I mentioned, 2 books on Eli. When I finished the first book about what happened, after talking to guys 64, 65, doing a narrative of mass murder in a way, I ended the book, the last line I remembered, I'm probably wrong, it's probably the second to last line, but as I remember it, the last line was about the kids who did the shooting. I said there were as much victims as the people they shot.